and my voice, knowing my story and my voice matter. May I welcome all feelings. To feel is to heal. May I welcome uncertainty, not knowing what words will want to be written or spoken next. I recognize my humanity in another, and may I trust the deep wisdom within me and call upon this wisdom for guidance. To listen to that deep wisdom, that's what we're going to listen to in our meditation right now, is going within, and you set the level and we're off and running. If you can get in a comfortable position, just settling in. And just notice how your body is this morning. Is it sluggish? Is it motivated, anxious, or excited? And let's begin with some long, slow, deep breaths. In and out. Letting the sound of the one note draw you inward. Letting go of what may have just come before, what conversations you might have had. Letting go of the to-do lists. Letting go of what's to come the rest of the day. Trying to escape to a future moment or revisit a past moment. And just be here now in this very present moment. The only moment we have, right here, right now. And the breath can ground us in this moment. Observing the in and out. And if you're feeling a little wobbly this morning, Thich Nhat Hanh has this beautiful meditation that you might silently want to say to yourself. Breathing in, I know I am a mountain. Breathing out, I know I am strong. Breathing in, I know I'm a mountain. Breathing out, I know I am strong. And just letting your whole body soften and relax in that knowing of your inner strength. Bringing your attention to the face, the muscles in the face, the eyes, eye sockets, the place between the eyes. Let your gaze turn inward to the deep knowing presence. Softening your cheeks and jaw. Your neck, your shoulders. When I say the body part, just bring your attention there and let yourself soften. Feel the weight of your shoulders and arms, hands by your side, or gently folded in your lap. Bring your attention to your heart. How's your heart? You feel open, tender, broken, guarded, and however your heart may be feeling, can you send it some loving kindness? Meet the heart where it is. And bring your attention down to your belly, your buttocks, where your buttocks are touching the floor, your sit bones, or the bed or chair. Feel where your body's making contact. When we feel those places, we make contact, we come into our body. And your hips, and your legs, and your feet. All the places the soles of those feet have walked. Feeling yourself grounded in this moment, rooted. You are held. Your greatest gift is to be you just as you are. No need to be anything or do anything. Breathing in, I am enough. And in this place of inwardness, of receptivity, creativity lives in this present moment. Listen to what wants to come through you today. And today the word is service. Service. Serve. Bob Dylan's got that song, you gotta serve somebody. Whom do you serve? Is it God? Is it Gucci? Is it a guy in your life, a gal in your life? The almighty dollar. Who would you like to serve? Who have you been in service to? Maybe in the past or now. Do you have a choice? Service comes from the word serve, slave, servitude, indentured servant, slavery where there was no choice. Bought and sold like a good. If you Google jobs, many of the first things that will come up, are you a slave to your job? service. Why we do the things we do and who we do them for. In service. Have you ever been in the service industry? Had to say something over and over again, the same words over and over again. The words of service. These words, how may I help you? Is the help coming from a place of service or a place of obligation? Are you just doing your duty? What's coming up for you around the word service? Who would you like to serve? What would that look like? Here we go.
Mo, could you
right,
unmute
Mo,
yourself?
Great. Great, Mo.
This is a response to actually something. I couldn't be here yesterday, family illness. Anyway, the day before, one of the writers came on and sort of what she said spoke to me. And I guess I want to just give a little feedback on that I love editing. I do not consider the editor in me the bad guy. It's part of who I am as a writer. And but I do believe that you should just get it out. But what I tell myself is just get it out, and you can have a few minutes to go over it at the end, if you wish. It doesn't mean that you have to perfect it. It's just that if you're going to be unhappy leaving something really obvious wrong, then just give yourself permission to do it later.
Yeah. Thank you, Mo. Thank you for that. And everybody has a different way that they like to work. But one thing I do encourage is that these are free writes and you don't do any spell check, any grammar, any editing. And then later, yes, you can do it. Stephen King, who wrote the book on memoir, says just vomit out your first draft, put it out there. Second draft, you start to see, when you look at it, you're like, oh, here's how it's beginning to take shape. Here's what it might really be about. But those initial impulses, just let them fly. And
but you have to kind of assure kind of have to, I think, assure the editor and you that you will come back later. And so if you say that, then it frees you up, I think.
I like that, Mo. That seems to work for you. And I think that works for other people that like to know that, yeah, it's going to get polished. It will get polished. I'm going to come back. Yeah. Thank you for that. You can edit. Indeed, I would say afterwards, get it out. All right. Other questions that we might have out there.
Mary Brown, Ann Graham, and Barbara Fessler have their hands up.
All right.
Good morning. Hi, everybody.
Good morning. Hi, Mary.
Let me see. Hi, Ann. Hi, everybody. Last month I participated in the writing group. I've been writing every day with us, but I haven't gone over any of my work yet. So I need to I've written about 12 pages each day when we go together. So I handwrite it. So it's like, okay. So I just need to go back in mind for what looks good and what my theme is. Is that what you recommend?
Well, here's my process, but it's different for everybody. Like books that I've read on memoir. Well, I'm just going to talk about my own process. I usually start with a situation where I'm in conflict, a situation that's interesting me for me. For example, a weirdo character on a plane, unable to deal with grief, cooped up there with her mother's ashes. Where it's going to go, I don't know. That's the premise. I'm just listening to what wants to come through. And then I start to just lay track. I think I talked last month about, I make a little pearl, a 12-minute pearl of a scene. And then I have another 12-minute pearl of a scene. And sometimes I begin to see, not sometimes, as a story begins to emerge, the story tells me what it is. Instead of me telling what the story is, it emerges from the writing. It shows me, hold on, I'm getting some sound here, trying to stop the sound. It shows me what it is. It does not, and then I know my ending. For example, halfway through Loveland, I knew what the ending was going to be, but I didn't know how I was going to get there. Once again, I would do free writes until I figured out the ending. So sometimes writers will say, I want to write about the time my heart was broken at summer camp when I was 16. There could be a whole memoir about that, and they'll know what they're going to write about, but they really don't know all the pieces of how that's going to roll out. Or maybe you don't know at all what you're going to write about. So you're just putting these, what we're doing here every day, about a 35-minute write. You're putting one here, you're putting one here, you're putting one here, and eventually you're going to see that theme. Here's the theme. Here's the underlying question this character is asking. Will I be able to go on with the death of my mother? Will I be able to overcome this heartbreak? Will I be able to overcome this illness? You cannot do your whole entire life story when you're writing a memoir or a short story. You're picking usually one event or one particular area where you keep hitting the wall again and again and again. And it does emerge. I like to say it emerges magically, but I don't know. That's why I say welcome the uncertainty, and it will reveal itself to you. Another way that people like to work is often is that they'll just take all these rights, and then as they start to put them into a computer and start to take all the free rights and start to look at them again, they begin to get ideas. So you're sitting with them and you're starting to see what they have to say, and the themes are emerging. And then you can also go back and then edit, say, I want to write more here, I want to cut more there, but I don't usually edit until I got the whole first draft out. I hope that is helpful, Mary. How is that? I can't hear you because I muted you, but anything that I'm not,
Oh, yeah.
anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, because I was thinking of you in Hawaii, and I was thinking about waves. Like imagine like waves of the words are coming like at us, and we're laying on the beach, and the words that want to come like are flying over us and going within, and then we write it out.
I love that. I love that. Well, Elizabeth Gilbert talks about it's just in the wind. She talked about, there's a beautiful TED talk on genius. It's so beautiful. And she was speaking about her poet friend, and her poet friend is in the field, and the poet friend hears the poem literally in the air, just hears the poem. And she knows if she doesn't run back to the farmhouse and get her pencil and write down that poem is going to move on down the road to somebody else. So that's why I'm always like big champion of receptivity, of how can I be a deep listening vessel for what wants to come through. And I feel like I'm guided in my narrative in that way. And a big stumbling block to that receptivity is being too busy, not taking the time like we're doing right now for solitude, for contemplation, for that deep listening. Deep listening is the greatest gift we can give ourselves, I think, as a writer, is to not fill our days. It's how do you fill your days? How do you fill your days? What's inspiring you? Are you looking for, like I know when I am working on something, also synchronistic events happen all the time. I'll be working on a show, and then I'll go down, just the right book will land in my hands, or just the right piece of music that will serve that show. So I believe in that woo-woo stuff. The universe is on your side. All kinds of sorts of magic things open up when you're deeply listening that will also come in and help you, and guide you. Truly, I know it. First-hand testimonial right here. All right. Would somebody else like to share? Anybody? Any hands up?
Anne Graham, could you unmute yourself, please?
And unmute. Yeah.
Mute myself. I'm unmuted. Good. So Mo's comment so I have two parts of my life, my professional part of my writing life and my personal. And I can see in this workshop the conflicts between the two. So Mo's comment, the first thing that came to mind to me was my problem with typos. I'm so bad. And so in my professional life, you know, I'm work with all these like type A intense people who, you know, a typo shows you're not paying attention, or a typo, you know, shows
Yeah.
you're stupid or whatever. Even worse, I ghostwrite for chief executives of large companies, and occasionally I send them first drafts that look like I threw up on the page. And my husband like tries to intervene before I do that, but he sometimes doesn't succeed. So I look like an idiot. So my first question is, how do I, for other people that are in that professional quandary of writing for demanding type A people, how do you manage yourself so that you work fast but carefully, and then but at the same time on the personal side, I want to do all the things you're talking about. And you know, I've read Stephen King's writing biography 3 times, and I
Yeah.
really want to throw up on the page. And I did this morning. I did this morning with the service exercise. So how can I do both?
Well, yes, you did it. You threw up today. We should celebrate your vomit. You vomited today, and that's a cause for celebration. I think you have to have a desire to vomit. Yes. And I think I can't speak about type A because if I turned this computer around and you saw my room, this is the only neat part. I am a lot of chaos. I'm a creative, chaotic brain. And so I actually have to turn my work over to somebody else to do editing and fine tuning because I can't even see it. So, but to me, the intention is that you had the intention to vomit. You became aware of when type A wanted to come in and start editing and working with grammar and spelling, and you caught yourself and you went to the vomit. And how was that for you, Mary? I mean, Anne. How was it?
We're
Yeah.
both Anns without E's. It was great. It was so liberating. I loved it. But I also think that, you know, it's helpful to have a structure and a process in things, and you may describe what you do as chaotic, but to me, the part of your magic is that you get from A to Z. So for example, the Loveland show, I was thinking like one thing that could be helpful and maybe for other people is where can we go to sort of watch some of your shows online?
Okay. My show's online. Do not translate because it's theater, which is live. Like if it's a live experience. I think I have a show that I'm working on now that could translate to, I think you have to create for the medium. I talked about this before because there's also storyteller shows happening all over online, and I want to plug one right now at the Marsh is having a solo international storytelling festival, and that's where I have performed solo shows. And there's a difference to me between doing solo theater and doing solo storytelling. If I'm doing an 80-minute show and I'm playing all the characters on stage and I'm in the show, meaning I'm not telling the show, like a storyteller will say, this happened to me,
Right.
and they'll talk a story of their life. I'm actually happening in real time. So like in Loveland, for example, I have a nervous breakdown on the airplane. You don't know if I'm going to make it or not. If I was to have a nervous breakdown right near here on Zoom, not in a theater setting, you might, if I really did it like I do in show, you might not think I'll recover. Meaning it's very challenging to do the whole emotional inner life of a true theatrical piece. Have you ever watched PBS ballet or grand performances on PBS? They don't really work. You have to be in that live setting. HBO had a solo series for a while back in the late, I want to say late 90s, and they canned it right away because it couldn't capture what happened in a solo performance. And they just didn't hold it up. It didn't hold up. That being said, there are exceptions because I saw Fleabag. I saw her one-person show, and I was mesmerized. But most one-person shows do not work. And I'm not talking about storytellers out there. Storytellers, you work fine online. You do great online. I'm talking about shows in which the character is actually in the real moment, having thoughts and feelings and experiencing them in real time. There's a difference. So
Yeah,
to
that
me,
will.
it doesn't work. Yeah.
Thanks for that, because that distinction, I'm going to think about that. That's a lot to process. Thank you very much.
Yeah. As well as having sex on stage, doggy style. That's what I do in Loveland. And I don't know how that would fly either on the internet, so let's see. I can try right now. All right. Imaginary self doing doggy style. Thank you. Okay.
Barbara, do you want to unmute yourself, please?
Hi. So thank you, everybody. Thanks, Anne and Susan. I was struggling today. I'm tired. I had to get up and do taxes because the extension is still due. It arrives no matter how far I extend it. So and I was writing about that. And I went right into like these things that were like, okay, fuck it. I can't stand it. I can't stand thinking about it. Okay, write about it. So I I have this thing that I've done before at the end of the night, just my P's and Q's, the things that please me. And then the Q, the quality is about me or my life, my whatever, that allow that to happen, that made that happen. So that's a positive thing. And those Q's are like my assets, which I can hold on to. It's non-negotiable. It's something I did do. But then the second page is like what I can't handle. And that's like what I started to do today. And then there's certain things. And then I thought, all this writing is making more work for me, and I have to organize it. I have to edit it like everybody else is saying. But then the thing about service, I had an epiphany today about, because we did discipline at one time. So I went into like the self-discipline, self-disciple. When I'm a disciple of my highest self, it's easier to serve and spend time. It feels more quality. And I'm a massage therapist and a singer, actor, performer. But as a massage therapist, hi, how are you doing? What's going on with your body today? Oh, fuck you. I don't give a shit what's going on with your body. I want the fucking massage. Hi, would you like some water? Fuck you. I haven't eaten yet. So I want to do this whole show and it reminded me. Yeah, it reminded me of that show that I had burgeoning for the last 3 years. But the thing about service, you don't necessarily have to be a follower of what you're believing. Like if I was self-serving my disciple self, I thought I could be of service of myself. I could be of service, a part of myself that I'm great with numbers. Scrabble, man. I love words and numbers and taxes. I'm an idiot. So it's like,
all right, Barbara.
Okay, sorry, this is a therapy session. I apologize.
I just want to say though, I just saw your one person show, and I think it's fantastic that, and this is a great tool for everybody out there. What Barbara just demonstrated is the inner monologue versus the outer monologue. Hi, may I help you? Fuck you, I don't care about you, right? So what you share in a scene and then what you're actually thinking. And it's the internal monologue. It's a great thing to play with. And it's a beautiful example, Barbara, and very identifiable, because the lives that we hide. And also
Right.
it sounds like you also came to an arc in how you will serve yourself, the self-service of my highest good. So I could hear a little bit of where the arc, so I'm trying to demonstrate to you all right now. Here you can see where she's going to go to if we built the show, where that arc would be. It would come back to herself at the end in this finding this new discovery of serving self. The main thing in a solo show, storytelling, memoir, anything, is the character is one way at the beginning of the story, and by the end of the story, they are seeing the world in a totally new way. There's a perspective shift. If that perspective shift does not happen, there's no story. The invisible line at the end of every story should be, and the character was never the same again, because you are seeing the world with new eyes and new ears. So many solo shows I've seen start at the one place, this happened to me, and at the end of the show, this happened to me. Action took no, the character took no action, and there was no discovery of a new way of seeing the world. We got to see the world in a new way. Okay. Thank you, Barbara.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye. I haven't done my taxes either. Okay, going on. Chaos.
Robin, could you unmute yourself, please? Did mine this weekend.
Okay. Look at all these. All right. I want a
Hi,
little type A. Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
Greetings from my bed in Santa Fe. How are you?
Hi, Robin. Great to have you.
Thank you. I'm so grateful to be writing every day with all of you. And every prompt, I'm sure everybody will agree, has been exactly what I needed to express where I'm at. And the pandemic, and I'm calling October my month of truth, where I actually write into every line how I'm feeling, because I'm a person who tends to sweep everything under the rug. I can observe my life and write about my life and all the stories that have happened, but I have trouble writing about how I feel. And I've even tried writing in present tense,
Mm-hmm.
like, as the 4-year-old, and I'm still finding that I'm having trouble feeling. And the participant Barbara, who just talked about like all her feelings about, I was envious that she could express all those feelings about her frustration about taxes or whatever she's going through, because I thought, I want to be able to tell the truth and not just be the observer of my life. I want to drop into it. So anything that you have to share about, I tried closing my eyes and listening to my heart. I mean, is there anything else I can do to really stop just sweeping my feelings under the rug and observing my life from like sort of the helicopter?
These are great questions. As you were saying you wanted to do what Barbara was doing, I think that accessing of the feelings is in the, it's in the body, right? Our feelings are in our body, and you want that is my entry point in being able to write those feelings. Is I hear you say I'm letting myself feel, I'm going into my body, but there's also something to actually practicing embodying anger and frustration by getting up and making like, no, no, no. Like, sorry, just people with just the earphones on, I fucked up. Sorry about that. But I will go into a sound and movement or repetition of anger or rage. I just get, and you've done this with me before, Robin, when we've done monologues, to get into that feeling of whatever feeling that you're working with. I yearn, and I'm actually getting my body in a physicality. I yearn. If you just go right now, if everybody stood up right now, closed their eyes and reached their arms and really extended them and said, I yearn. And you're breathing, I yearn. Something, I'm going to tell you, a feeling would begin to come up in putting your body in this yearning place. Right away, just now, I could feel tears. Just now from that position of doing that repetition. I almost want to have everybody right now get up and give it a go and see what would happen.
Can you do that movement again?
It's a full extension of the arms, and you're reaching out and you're closing, and you're just going, I yearn. And you're deeply breathing in between, I yearn. And you're feeling that yearn in your body, in your soul.
That's so helpful. And I just wrote down the word I yearn and could write a whole sentence. That I thank you. That was so, and then the movement, and I will stand up and go deeper, but that is exactly what I needed to hear today. Thank you so much.
Oh, it's so great, Robin. Good. And music will get me there. So oftentimes I don't know about you, but if you hear this piece of music, it's melancholy. I think sometimes if I hear Joni Mitchell, I wish I had a river to skate away on. Woo! And then I'll get in the mood and I'll start riffing, So music can help me get into that feeling place too. Thank you for that great question. I'm glad it helped. All right, going on.
Pamela on Vashon Island. Could you unmute yourself?
Vashon Island, I know,
yeah.
beautiful island.
Yeah,
as you were just doing what you're just doing, I just went, the two things I've felt most of my life. One is that my spirit was bigger than my body, that
Mhm.
I had something pulling me more than I could keep up with. And now that the writing is starting to happen, I feel like there's more I want to write than I can possibly get out. But
Yes.
my question, which is a quick one, is I just want to ask you, I don't know if I've heard you state it or anybody else. Do you believe there's a difference or a preference for writing by hand versus on a computer? And
Yes.
one of my thoughts is that the computer can keep up with my thoughts, but I also tend to want to go edit it much faster. But do you have a suggestion about that?
Yes, I'm a big believer in writing on hand in notebook, pen and pencil, uh, and then switching into computer. That being said, there are plenty of writers out there who do fine just straight on the computer, but it slows me down. I'm already chaotic enough, and the computer runs too fast for me, so I slow down. And then when then I'll transfer it over to the computer. That's when I begin the editing process, and I'm creating on the computer because when I'm editing, I'm also creating. But the initial impulse is always on pen and paper. There's nothing like it. It's very tactile. The feeling, the element is there. Mary Oliver as well speaks about that in one of her essays about that pen and pencil. And if you go to any woo-woo new age retreat, they'll often have you write in your non-dominant hand to get the real truth. So that'll really slow you down. So, and I found that to be true too. But whatever works for you, I would try it both ways and see what arises in using pen and pencil if you're used to using computer.
Yeah, I know that Julia Cameron also, is a big advocate for handwriting. So I just this morning I went, oh, I'm noticing that when I write on the computer, I my eyes keep jumping up to any type errors because it'll point it out to me for one thing. So it's anyway. I just wanted to hear creatively,
Yeah.
what you do. So thanks.
Okay. Thanks. Thank you. All right. Who is next? You're gonna start hearing roosters crowing any minute now. Okay.
Eliza, could you please unmute yourself?
Yes, if it's okay, I'm going to stick this in the comments. If you wouldn't mind reading it out, I have a lot of background noise. Thank you.
Okay. Perfect. Okay.
So do you want me?
Go ahead.
Do you want to? So read it out loud. So today's service, today's prompt service. Who am I serving resonated with me with respect to a work in progress. I am trying to serve this work in progress, but I'm not sure the work is still serving me. It's a memoir, and I think it could serve others someday if it's published, but right now I can't seem to care about. Whoops. Care about these hypothetical people or not enough to overcome my ambivalence about this work.
I see that. Okay. My first question would be is how close to completion? Wait, does it say how close to completion? A work in progress.
I've revised it once and I'm in the process of revising it again.
So it's finished. Yes, kind of. I mean,
sorry.
second draft, second draft. Because I see this thing happen, and my initial impulse when I first put something, there's so much joy. The greatest impulse is when that first line comes out. I'm like ecstatic. I'm on fire. And then with each editing, I like lose my mojo almost to the point that I have to have my hand held at the very end because like I am off and running to the next thing. I'm like, I know what it is. I know how it ends now. Okay, I'm ready. And then again, the real work begins then to take it onto the stage, but then and to retool it again, writing wise. But I know that feeling that you're talking about. I've had that feeling before where I've been with it so long, I just want to move on. I'm like, And at that point, I bring in support to kind of almost hold my hand. I think I did on like two of them, almost like the last 10th of the show. Like since I knew where it was going, I had no more surprise. I like surprise. I want to know what's gonna. I lost my juice. So I did have people just kind of be with me during that because that's where many people bail is where you are right now. You're like, I got nothing left there. It doesn't really excite me anymore. And then it's also a very lonely process. It hasn't been released in the world. You've been working on something, it hasn't been released, you're alone with it. So and that being said, I'm going to say something completely opposite too, because that's where I also worked on another piece and I couldn't get to the end of it. I kept trying, and I just got frustrated, and something else just came through so effortlessly, like beginning, middle, end, and just took over. And I let that thing go. And actually, I think I'll return to that thing again now. But at the time, it just wasn't grabbing me. So I have two different schools of thought, and I'm sorry it's a contradiction, but I don't know where you are, if you're really alone in the process, and if you really, you sounds like you already finished it. One little draft, not one little draft, that's a huge thing to finish a draft, is to maybe bring in some people that are supporting and looking at it. Has anybody been with you in this process?
Yes, thank you for all that's all really helpful actually. Yes and no. I mean, yes, but not in kind of an ongoing way. So it's getting some feedback as I went, but now I have all that feedback and now I'm sort of sitting with it alone. So what you're saying makes sense to me, to bring someone on sort of a more moving forward basis.
Yeah, and they will be excited in a way with your material where you're like, okay, I'm tired of sitting with it. And that's the person you want to find that's going to champion, that is going, look, you know, it can help you have this intention. I think in the writing to help, you know, this can help people. So bring somebody on that's going to see that light, that gift, and they're going to be like, oh yeah. And you start to feel it again. Then you have this gift. They will be like, come on, taking you to the finish line. I think it's a good thing. I needed help to the finish line for sure.
That's really reassuring. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
And
Okay.
Ava, could you unmute yourself, and then Julie?
Hi, Anne. Thank you so much. I love this. This is so good. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're doing great. You look great. You look really relaxed.
I just wanted to share something from yesterday from the newspaper prompt. Something really interesting happened where what was coming through was not memoir personal at all. It was very sort of an outrageous, like, fake newspaper article, and writing it as a journalist was really helpful for me to like get out of the control and just kind of like a journalist just reporting on like what is, instead of trying to be like, who is this person, what's going to happen, just like, no, look around, like what's here. And it really allowed for that, what you're talking about, that Elizabeth Gilbert thing, which I love, of just allowing ourselves to be a channel for the story and allowing it to emerge from the clay instead of trying to control it or like, what is this about? Where is it going? Just that allowing. And it was just such a great exercise to be kind of like a journalist in that moment, which I will use. So I just wanted to thank you for that.
Oh, I love that. And anyway, what she's sharing is a beautiful thing, because you just went with it. You didn't try to go back. You just went with that impulse. And there's something to writing in, I think it's what's his name? Casey Neistat, who's the biggest YouTube vlogger out there. He says, don't worry about writing, just document your life. And that is writing, like document like a journalist. And it's everything, you know, it's fascinating because you're right there documenting. I think it's a great thing that you have fun. It sounds like you had a good time with it.
Yeah, I did.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
And Julie.
Okay. All right. Hi, Anne. Hi, everybody. All right.
Hello, Julie.
Hi, Anne. So great. I'm loving this. It's fantastic.
Yay.
Yeah. So my thing is that when I find, I like both writing by hand, but what I find is that when I write on the computer and I do edit as I write, I end up liking what I'm writing better at the beginning. And I feel like it coalesces my ideas and then helps me to create forward momentum. Because otherwise I feel like it's a tedious, it becomes a tedious process to go through a journal or a pad and reorganize. It's so chaotic. I kind of go, you know, I can do it. I've done it.
Yeah.
But I also find that writing on the computer and editing as I go sometimes helps to deepen and sharpen the essence of what I'm conveying, and helps to consolidate me. And I just wanted to put that out there and get your thoughts on that.
It's working for you, Julie. If anything's working for anybody, do it and don't listen to what I'm saying. If it's working, it works. If it works when you transcribe over to anything and editing comes, use it. You know, totally. Thank you, Julie.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, all right. Okay.
Lisa Carlton. Could you unmute yourself?
The name of Anne's new workshop. Unmute yourself. Your story matters.
I'm unmuting myself.
Hi.
So I just wanted to say that I feel like there's a little trickery going on, because every time I start writing on a topic, it's just, I don't know if it's the unmuting myself. I don't know what you're doing, Anne, but something about the writing prompts are just dropping me into the deepest caverns of like emotion and what needs to be said. And maybe it's the chemo. I don't know. I just finished my 4th chemo. I'm coming out of the emotional day or two. But I'm really moved by the level of where I go, because service is my thing. I love service. But then I drop into the time in my life when I didn't have enough energy to do what was before me, and I needed to be cared for more. It's interesting the way the topics, if you just, and I so love a little piece you said about what are you doing with your time? Are you creating time to be openly receptive to what's coming in? And this is doing that for me. And I'm such a social person. It's really beautiful to get to do this with so many people, to be so vulnerable with others. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's inspiring me.
Well, thank you. And your own vulnerability gives all of us permission, right? To be open, to drop our guard and let our beautiful, vulnerable selves shine through. I mean, vulnerability is the greatest strength. It is our greatest strength.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But getting to see that happen on paper.
Yeah.
I've taught writing for decades. I've used writing, but I'm not a professional writer, but just watching it happen and going, wow, this is rich. And it's the process that you've created is nurturing that within me. So I just wanted to.
I'm so glad to hear that. I think too, the harmonium, like, because I speed, the harmonium slows me down. I think that really helps me go inward. So I thought, well, if it helps speedy people like me go inward, maybe it'll help us also drop down inward, because that is really where we really become more receptive and also more courageous to look at things that might be challenging to look at. And I love, just let yourself cry and weep, because that's what wants to come through.
Yeah. What do you mean when you say the harmonium?
The one note, the sound, I think it's a subtle thing that it's breathing. Like if I'm breathing fast, the harmonium one note in and out will slow down my breath. And if I slow down my breath, my nervous system slows down. And if my nervous system slows down and stops amping up at its normal rate, then I'm more relaxed and open.
Yes.
The more open and relaxed I am, the more I can make discovery. I'm not going to come from a reactive place. I'm in a place of allowing, where I'm in a field of pure potentiality, right? I'm in that field.
Yes, it's beautiful.
And that's a beautiful field to be in.
And it's beautiful that you figured out a way to take us into that place and then turn us loose with our computer or pen and paper.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
really
turn the mind loose, turn the heart loose.
very crafty of
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, sneaky. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Oh, there's the cock calling. Cock-a-doodle-doo. You can always come to Happy Cock Church, by the way. It's right outside the window. Okay.
And Pamela has her hand up.
Yeah.
Julie, do you have your hand up again? Or is it still up? Okay.
Me, Pamela? I guess.
Yes, Pamela, you.
So I realized in my writing about service this morning, I have a hard time compartmentalizing between the service of me as a creative person and the service of others that's important to me, because I feel like sometimes I could just live in this creative space, utilizing all of our exercises. And I've been an actor for 40 years. So I am very self-conscious about narcissism, and I realized at the beginning of my exercise, every time I wrote the word I finally made myself type it 3 times, which became tedious. And then it was like, let me write some of this in third person, because I can't let it be about me, because there's people out there that need me and need me to be of service to them. But it's really hard to tear myself apart. Like, I could live in this space where, my higher power is using me as a conduit to put stuff on the page or on the stage, and that's not my reality. So I have a very hard time shifting back and forth to what we're doing here, which was, I think, my higher calling, and what I need to do in the outside world. There must be exercises there. I don't
You gave yourself the exercise. You gave yourself the exercise, and the first thing would be to speak about that conflict. Did you speak about that conflict and explore that conflict? Did you explore, if I follow my higher calling, if I truly listen to what wants to come through, I believe I will be perceived this way. You use the word narcissist by the people, those loved ones. And is that true or is that not true? And I think you know the truth of what I'm looking for. I'm looking to talk to you. I'm like, where's your face so I can look at you? Like that internal struggle, because my thinking, and this is just me speaking, that if I'm in my truth and living my truth, then my joy comes through, and my joy then has a positive impact on the people in my life. It's in service. My joy therefore will be a service to those that are in my life. So I think really exploring that, is it really true if I claim my artistry and do my creative thing, that is not of service? Can you tell me just a little briefly more about the conflict there? That is it time that you feel torn between time, like hours in the day?
And no, I have hours in service to myself.
Okay.
And, I mean, I feel grateful that that's where I'm at in my life now. So I could do this forever. But then I get, people who come in and impinge on that, and maybe somehow I'm giving off this no, and I can't do that. I have other people that just need me to be not a slave to them, but of servitude to their needs. And they come in and out and in and out. And I feel like I'm falling down there. And so I think I'll meditate more.
Well, you use the word impinge. That stuck out to me, the word impinge. They impinge upon me. So if these people coming in and out of your life, and this goes for anybody out there, people come in and out of our life, if I feel it's my duty and obligation, and it's not something that really brings me joy, and it's not something, then why am I doing it? And of course, there's people that we want because we want to serve, we want to help, we enjoy them, We love them. And then there's crazy makers who come in and out. So it's also distinguishing between those two. Who's
Yeah.
coming over to suck the lifeblood, and who do you really want to serve and feel a balance with?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, get it.
Okay. I hope that helps.
It does. Thank you.
Okay. Who else is out there?
And Julie has her hand up again.
All right, Julie.
So I struggle with the release aspect, and you mentioned this the other day, and that in the creative cycle, I don't remember exactly what you said, but something about, there's the creative, there's the shaping, and then there's the release, and those are all important aspects. And I understand that it could be very nurturing to put stuff out, and then you get more. Well, it's interesting. You get more juice, and you also get maybe more expectation, which can be scary. So if you could just speak about that, I would really appreciate it.
Well, release is scary. I could just put a thing out there. Release is scary. You're putting your work out in the world. You're no longer in a held container or in a group or with your director or your creative group who is championing and cheerleading you. Once you put your work out there, you are open for criticism. People coming up to you and say, well, I didn't really care for your work. Which I've had all of it. You're being thrown. All of a sudden, you put yourself out there, and people are throwing the tomatoes at you, and they're also throwing, flowers at you, and you have no idea. So you're opened up to, you're vulnerable all of a sudden to the whole wide world, giving their input, which they feel they need to do, whether you ask them or not. So. And that stops many people from releasing because they want to release when it's perfect, and it ain't never going to get perfect. It's not. So you're releasing and you're learning from that release. When people tell you they don't like it or they give you unwanted feedback, how then you're also learning to grow the muscle within you. How can I continue my art, continue learning from what I'm receiving, learning to take what feels good, what I discard and don't take personally. How do I begin to sift through all of this? And you're building that muscle now. And you're learning about the material. Look, yesterday I offered, and you stayed, Julie. I have this big corporate gig where I'm going to do a workshop, and I usually do corporate in live settings. So I'm putting it out there half baked yesterday for you all. I'm releasing it. It's not there yet. It's not fully formed. And I'm falling here and I'm falling there. I'm doing well here, doing well there, and I'm receiving your feedback. I'm receiving feedback and I'm learning. That's the only way I'm going to learn, is put myself out there, receive the feedback, and then have the this is big, discernment to know which feedback to take in and which feedback to not take in. And most of the time, you just want to have a trusted director, editor, somebody out there who you really, over the years, or it doesn't have to be I've had many friends, directors for years that I trust, that if they suggested this, that I would take that in. And the other thing, but I understand the fear, and we all have fear. We do. And I'm going to be like, go for it anyway. If you're weak in that area of release, then, hey, it's time to expand our range. It's 2020. What do we have to lose?
I'll volunteer maybe to sing a song at the Happy Cock song I wrote. I
great.
write songs. So.
How about this Saturday and Sunday?
I think I can do this Saturday.
All right, there we go. She's releasing. Yes.
Okay.
Love it, Julie. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. Anybody else out there? Anybody else have anything they want to share this morning? Is that truly
no hands up?
My God, Susan, how did that happen?
And you have taught everybody everything they'll need to know for today.
Yeah, I think that's good. I think
and they have taught themselves everything they need to know. It's working.
Yeah. It's working. They're off and running. They're writing their manuals, their books. Oh, no, we have another hand. Could it be?
Barbara.
She's back.
Well, House puts her hand up. I'll shut up. So, oh, there's Jeffrey. I'll shut up. Go ahead.
Okay. All right. Jeffrey?
Jeffrey, could you unmute yourself?
I
Jeffrey.
did want to listen to Barbara, but she's insisting I talk. All right. I love you guys. Annie, you know that that show I saw, which was I guess you actually were mourning your dad, but you were writing about the death of your mother in the show.
Correct. Who had not died.
Who had not died, and I'd like to actually, she's on my list for love. I just love your mother. But that scene on the airplane is high stakes. You've got the ashes of your mother up in the luggage rack, and you're lusting after the captain in the cockpit on the plane, and it's just, you've got several things going on, and it really drives the action. And I want to hear you talk about how you can drive the action in a one-person show.
Well, you're driving the action. You have to, first of all, have a character take action. And I think that is what's missing in so many solo shows. The characters saying, this happened to me, this happened to me, this happened to me. And no, you have to see the character go towards something that they want. And in Loveland, my character, if you haven't seen the show, she's in grief, and her coping mechanism and not being able to deal with the death of her mother is that she just is a horn dog out of control. So she definitely wants to have sex with the captain of the airplane that's flying the plane back to her hometown. And so as you're getting close to the hometown, it's amping up for her to want to get her mojo off, to take the relief from the grief by having sex with the airplane captain.
Got it.
Right? So the goal of sex is really masking the pain. And then you're watching these two intersect at one time, where the pain is forced in her face with the ashes coming undone. And then that's like, and you're also raising the stakes because I have to release the ashes on a particular day in a particular place. So this is missing in a lot of stories, is why now, why today does a character go on this journey? Why now, why today? I'm on that airplane because my mom said when she died, release my ashes on Harvest Moon. And I've been carrying around the ashes, and now I have to release them on this day, and I don't want to. So you're building the suspense, watching this character. The closer she gets to the release date, the more pressure she feels. The more pressure she feels, the more she's going to act out, which is have sex with the airplane, you know. So you're building it. You're building that internal pressure to combust. You're backing a character against a corner. That is what you're doing. And I know some of you didn't see Loveland. My mother did not die. My dad died, but my mother had a stroke. And as a writer, I didn't have time to combine both stories, to do both stories. So I just took my mother's death and combined my father and mom into one story. Because with a solo show, you don't have half as much time as you would with a memoir. You really, it's got to move. So, but that was my deepest fear, is that I would lose my mom, that the grief would just freaking sink me. So I wrote about that. Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you, Anne. That's
that
wonderful.
Helps. Okay.
It does. All right, doll.
Thank you.
Later.
Thank you. All righty. We have another question, Susan. Who is it?
I think it's Jennifer Z.
Jennifer
Is that
Z.
right? Yeah. I just lowered the hand. There we go.
I just unmuted myself. Is that okay?
Yep.
Okay.
Hi.
Hi.
Everyone. Thank you for making this time. So much of what you said today has been really helpful, and all the other questions. I'm in a beautiful place for like the last day, and I'm already dreading like going back to reality, or COVID reality.
Yeah.
But my question is around memoir again, also, and I so I have a large facial birthmark, which I was on the last write too, the 21-day challenge, I mean, and spoke like at the very end, just very briefly. And I guess my question is around just suggestions to continue to create support, you know, to actually get this first draft out. I found an old journal of mine from 2009 in which I was also trying to write a memoir. But since then, over the past 5.5 years, both of my parents have passed away. So when you mentioned your mom, like, yeah, I did. My mom passed suddenly, and it was awful. But the memoir is still focused on acceptance and growing up with a birthmark. And I don't know how the death of my parents is going to come in yet. I'm trying to like listen to my intuition, trust the process. I'm in a writing group, you know, I have, yeah. So I think I'm just trying to be more open to just listening and once I'm done talking and to more suggestions. And I've read a lot of books, but just because I really want to finish a first draft by the end of this year, or at least get to as close to it as possible.
That's
And,
great.
yeah,
That is
thank
great.
you.
Oh, one thing that, I mean, since you have a writing group and you're here writing and you're listening, you're thinking about, I'm going to maybe let the parents find their way into the story too. So you're still mining the material. Is that right? You're still fine. It sounds like you have a lot of support and you is still seeking more support. And one thing I think is maybe gathering because of Zoom now is, and it also is a bit of accountability in helping us further our goal, is to maybe have people over for dinner, Zoom dinner, and you read just a little bit, maybe 5-7 minutes of the memoir, or 10 minutes, and maybe another friend reads 5 or 7, and you just have a discussion, or you share your words. And if you want to open up to feedback, say, did this work or this transition work, that's okay. I wouldn't recommend it till you're getting really close to releasing it. Or before you, do a second draft, but it might be something that would be really helpful, because you could feel, even in sharing out loud, like when I work my shows, I work it in 7-minute chunks in front of a live audience, and I can feel when they drop, I can feel when they leave, I can feel my own energy. You're sensing into what it's like to have your words witnessed, and you're speaking that out, and you can start to begin to feel. And that's whether you're doing a memoir or solo show. You learn a lot from reading out loud. So I don't know if that interests you, and I would actually encourage a lot of people to do that.
Yeah. Thanks. I'm a part of me is really nervous. I've done some solo theater too, so I don't know if you've ever taken any of your solo shows and tried to make it into a book. Have you decided?
No, because they
thought about that, or
would
is
not
that something
work.
that
So
interests
this
you,
is
or
another thing.
or not
Solo
really?
shows too, also.
No. Yeah. Yeah.
Some of them lend
So
themselves to
different.
books,
Yeah.
and some of them theater, and some can do both. Mike Birbiglia can do both,
Yeah.
right? Because he's not very theater. He's a storyteller. Yeah, theater, no. Yes.
Yeah. Do you mean, because in the writing group, we each share things that we read something we've written, I'm sorry, and then give feedback, and it's really supportive, and it's a newish writing group.
Yeah.
So this would be inviting trusted friends, like people who I know are loving and caring, right?
Yeah.
None of the yeah, I mean, we know who those people are, I think.
Yeah.
And
I
reading it to
wouldn't-
them, right?
Yeah. Yes, but actually, now I think about it, don't ask them for feedback. Just say, will you be my champion and supporter on this journey? Because they're not writers and
Okay.
they're not artists. Just ask them. And you'll learn a lot about the material
Okay.
and reading it to them. But just to have more, we can't get enough people being our cheerleaders. We need that support. It's too hard to do alone. So if you let your friends in, and there's a
Yeah.
certain momentum that comes from, hey, let me encourage you on your journey. That's a beautiful thing to have.
Yeah. Thank you. I haven't even thought of that as far as the memoir goes. And yeah, I don't think I'm there yet, but it's exciting to think of that in the future.
All right. Well, thank you. I think it's fantastic you finished it first.
Thanks.
You're getting close to finishing. Oh. Yeah.
Well, I'm far away, but I can do it. I have faith. Like,
Yeah, I think
I believe
you
in
can
all that
do it.
woo-woo stuff too. So,
I believe in all that. Woo
yeah.
woo 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 works
Thanks.
for me. I make fun of woo
Yeah.
woo and it works for me. So
Me too.
did
Yes.
I just freeze?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Anybody else? Is that who I think it is?
It's David O'Shea. Could you unmute
Master
yourself?
storyteller David O'Shea, the one and only.
Okay.
World renowned storyteller.
World
right
renowned, world renowned.
here. You are. I feel like I'm in the presence of a master when I see you.
No, 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 no,
The master. Master David O'Shea.
No, you. It's all you. It's
Oh
all,
no, that's the
all
master.
you. Okay, that's all I need. Goodbye. No, I'm just calling, all I know that's good is to listen to other people's story and to witness whatever the truth is and get it down and then let people, but occasionally I'll run into something that sniffs like the universe is good. And there's sometimes you run into the dark side.
Yeah.
Is just as real. And what we're doing here, letting in the universe, is the universe that's good. And I know there's shame, there's all this other stuff, but then I've run into a taste for blood, which I think is, I turn my back on it in myself, I recognize it, or, I don't know what to do with that. And sometimes you say, why are you doing something if you don't want anyone else, if it's impinging on you? Sometimes you do something because no one else is doing it. That if you don't pick up the piece of garbage, no one's going to pick it up.
Right.
And you don't want to get your hands dirty, but other people are walking past and you think, well, shit, if it bothers me, then I better do something. And right now we live in a time where of division, I don't know. But there's a taste for blood that people like. And so I just, no one was asking questions, so I just bring this up. The evil of having a peephole put in the door of a gas chamber so that the Nazis could watch the Jews die and take notes on how long it took them to die and who climbed the walls and who did something. So I know there's the universe and there's all this good to feel, to heal, but I'll run into this in talking to people about war and just what you think, whatever your thoughts are.
Oh
on that.
no, David, I love that you're bringing this up because I think it was Carl Jung who said that we have to know that within us that we can be a bloody killer.
Yeah.
We have to be able to know that we could be, and a great story is where we are a perpetrator, a villain, sorry, you can say perpetrator, villain. We are also the hero and we're also the victim. And when I say villain, it means that we do things that are against our own conscience, our own moral, where we do things, and we all are imperfect. All of us are imperfect. So we're battling with this flaw that we all have. So in a solo show or memoir, we're seeing the character's flaw where they get caught. I'm not saying like caught, put in trip, but caught where you get, like I keep putting the foot in the mouth over and over again, or I keep lying, or I keep cheating, whatever it might be. But I'm, a big believer that you can't reach heaven or these lights until you know that you're also capable of hellish acts. And people, these spiritual woo-woo bypass people, right, don't want to even look at the shit or meet that dark place, which is very scary, There was a beautiful book written, I don't know what it's called Ordinary Man. I think it was in World War II, which talked about these kind of like normal, guys working normal jobs, and then the war came and they were enlisted by Hitler, and Hitler asked them to do, well, why don't you just steal this? And they were hesitant and they didn't want to, but they did. And then Hitler asked them to, well, why don't you beat this guy up? And like, oh no, that's way beyond so it's this gradual thing from stealing to hitting, to murder, to gas, to killing and raping babies.
Yeah.
And so there's this denial that happened. I'm not going to do it. Then I do it. I'm not going to do it. So it's frightening. And it's called ordinary man for a reason. Because environment is stronger than will, what you're putting in your thoughts, but you also have to know that if you're going to write, you have to be able to know that part of you. I think there was another short story written about a monk, and in the monk each monk was given the permission to do the most torturous things to other monks, only in his mind.
Ooh.
And the monk committed suicide because he thought, how can I be a monk if I'm capable of these things? Not doing them, but even thinking them. But we do have these thoughts. We have atrocious thoughts. Thank God most of us do not act on them. Okay? But they're in there. They come out.
So it's when you write and you find that in you, you give it a voice because it's a hungry thing. It's a hungry
Yeah, it's a hungry thing, and you feed it, David.
And you feed the wolf, it will howl more. And
Yeah.
it threatens to consume. And then what do? Meditate and say, whoops, sorry, enough meat for you? Or what do?
No, you got to meet the hungry wolf, David. You're not going to act on a hungry wolf, but you are going to meet that hungry wolf. You're going to give it a voice. You're going to let it on a page and say, like, I hate people. I want to do blah, blah, blah. I want to fuck up whatever anger, rage, whatever you say, put that on the page, and then you're meeting it. And then, yeah, I would go into that place. I would do like a meditation with somebody that I know, people that take you to those places where you're sitting with that rage and anger and you watch it transform. Yeah. And not that it's going to be gone for a while, you're going to keep hitting it over and over again, but at least you're doing a practice where you're not running away from the rage.
Well, there's the rage and anger, and then sometimes there's the universe that seems almost solid and waiting in the dark. So there's that, and I'm glad you dealt with woo-woo, because it's there, it's out there in the dark, just like a shark waiting in the dark, and maybe it doesn't have anything against you, but it's hungry. So I guess you're just aware that it's there, and you do your best.
Yeah, David, that's all we can do. And we also know that it's there and we can have choices. So yeah. I'm aware, and I'm going to make a choice to offer service, offer hope.
Yeah.
I'm aware when I get overtaken by those thoughts, and I will write them. And sometimes I'm too scared to put them out, David. I want to. I have in shows. That's why I've hidden behind characters. I've hidden behind characters because my characters will give me permission to say the very things that, if Anne said that, whoa. So there's a little bit of safety there, right? Yeah. Oh, not anymore. I'm better and better. You teach what you got to learn, David.
I bow to you. Okay. Thanks a lot.
Let it rip, David. You could never say anything that would,
Oh, well.
I don't think that I wouldn't see myself in, and that we all wouldn't see ourselves in. And you give everybody permission, give us courage to say the shit that nobody wants to say.
Yeah, just say the shit. That's what I say to everybody. As someone asked me to teach something on storytelling, I said, I don't know anything, but I'll tell you what, write about a close call. You always have a story there, and you can always write about shame because that's where the juice is, and write about an accident, and it's always there. There are three things you can always find a story.
Yeah.
Or just write about New York.
Well, look at the emotion New York's bringing. Look at your feeling, David. What brings you to tears right now?
That people don't see it.
Yeah.
That people don't fucking see it. But they'll still pay $15 for a martini and think they see it. So that's what I think.
So
on that.
You're grieving New York. You're grieving.
Yeah.
And I think write about the sadness, the grief, and also the anger. They don't fucking see it.
Okay. Well, I got my marching orders now. So thank you.
Okay, you do. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Good night.
Bye, David.
Bye.
Okay. Wow. Wow. I feel so full. Like the whole human condition, you know? How can we embrace the whole human condition? That's what it's about. Oh. All righty. Anybody else, or is that time, or what's going on?
So it's time, and Barbara has her hand up.
All right, Barbara, you're going to close us out. And
All right. I had some woo-woo last night. I couldn't sleep, so I got up to do those taxes, which I don't like to say the word. I call it tennis. Anyway, I was working on my backhand, and but I got up and I drifted again to Jenna Rowlands. I had this lovely, I had a connection with her in the past and her son and stuff. So, but the woo-woo was to find her last night and to hear what she said about being an actress and taking on different characters. That the wonderful thing about being an actor, or like as us as actors and performers, we can be other people part of the time. And she gave herself permission, and her and John, they would do these wonderful things, Cassavetes. But the thing that she said is interesting to me that I heard last night: proportion. The proportion you're willing to give that part of yourself, the wolf, you know, feed it, even the bad wolf. Okay, I'm going to see how bad this bad, but then you got to see, keep some balance. She says, when she did some shows, it took a while to get them out of her head.
Yeah.
The crazy, you know, but that, I think that's scary to open up to that part of ourselves, like you said, but then to hold a balance, like, okay, put it back in proportion.
I love that. That's a beautiful word, Barbara. That's a gift to me to bring to. Such goodness. Right on. Right on. Thank you. Thank you.
Jenna. Thank Jenna.
Thank you. All righty. Okay. Susan, thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Susan.
Yeah. All righty. We're going to end on our song. Here we go. Here we go.
Where did it go?
That's okay. I'll sing it, Susan.
Oh, okay, and I'll put it up in a minute. Go.
Okay. May all beings dwell in their heart. May all beings be free of suffering. May all beings be healed. May all beings know their wholeness. May all beings be happy and at peace. Thank you all. What a lovely day. Have a beautiful rest of the day. Unmute yourselves. Goodbye.
Thank you, Annie. Thank you.
Bye.
Aloha.